Morning students, this is Arun Kumar sir from Social Department. In last class, we discussed about 8th Standard Social Science, Civics, Unit 1, how the state government works. That is a heading of the lesson, how the state government works. Okay, in that we discussed something. What is that? The administration of the state government, one. Second one, the powers and functions of the governor and the chief minister. So these were the two important points we discussed in the last class. Now we are going to discuss about the three pillars of the government. Three pillars of the government. Now we are going to discuss about the one important pillar, that is legislature. The one important pillar is legislature. So now we are going to discuss about the state legislature. In India, the state legislature consists of a governor and one or two houses. The legislature, it is consist of governor and one or two houses. The upper house is called the legislative council. The lower house is called legislative assembly. Upper house is called legislative council and the lower house is called legislative assembly. So these are the two important house of the legislature. Okay, next the legislative council. The constitution provides the total strength of the legislative council must not be less than 40 and not more than 1/3 of the total strength of the legislative assembly of the state. So that is a strength of the legislative council. So not be less than 40 and not more than 1/3 of the total strength of the legislative assembly of the state. That is a total strength of the legislative council. Second one, the members of the legislative council are elected indirectly. The legislative council election was held through indirectly. Next one, 1/3 of its members are elected by the local government bodies like district panchayats and municipalities. So next, another 1/3 is elected by the members of the legislative assembly. So third, 1/12 is elected by the graduates of the constituency and another 1/12 by the teachers of secondary schools, colleges and universities, and 1/6 members of the legislative council are nominated by the governor. So 1/3 members elected by the district panchayat and municipalities, 1/3 members elected by the legislative assembly, 1/12 members elected by graduates of constituency, 1/12 member elected by teachers and secondary schools, colleges and universities, 1/6 members nominated by governor. So these are the members of the legislative council. So next one, the legislative council is a permanent house. No one can dissolve the house. 1/3 of its member retire every 2 years. 1/3 of the member retire every 2 years and elections are held to fill the vacant seat. So why the election was held? To fill the vacant seat. Next, the members are elected for the 6 years term. The members are elected for the 6 years term. Next, to be a member of the legislative council, one must be a citizen of India and should have completed 30 years of age. So these are the very basic and important qualification of the legislative council members. One, citizen of India. Second one, he should be completed 30 years. Next, he cannot be member of the legislative assembly or either of house of the parliament. He cannot be a member of legislative assembly or the parliament house. Next, last one, the chairman and deputy chairman. The chairman and the deputy chairman. These are the two persons are very important because the chairman is the presiding officer of the legislative council. He is a head. Chairman is a head of the legislative council and in his absence. In his absence, that means chairman's absent, the deputy chairman presides over its meeting. They are elected from among the members of the house. They are elected among the members of the house. So that is the activities and movements of the legislative council. Okay, students, next we are going to discuss about legislative assembly. Legislative assembly, the lower house. Okay, there are 234 constituencies in Tamil Nadu. How many constituencies? There are 234 constituencies in Tamil Nadu. Now we are going to discuss. Okay, the people who make the laws of a state government are called members of the legislative assembly. So they are also known as MLAs. The people who make the laws of a state government are called member of the legislative assembly. The MLAs are chosen from different constituencies. They are chosen from different constituencies. These constituencies are called the legislative constituencies. One legislative constituencies may have 1 lakh or even more people. So that is a population of a constituency, 1 lakh or more people. The MLAs are the representative of the people. The MLAs are the representative of the people. So that is called the House of Representative. The legislative assembly is called House of Representative. Next one, election to the assembly. Election to the legislative assembly. It is a direct election. It is a direct election. Okay. Next, different political parties contest in the elections to the legislative assembly. There are a lot of political parties in Tamil Nadu. All the political parties contest election to the legislative assembly. These parties nominate their candidates from each constituencies. The candidate is that person who contests for the election and asks people to vote for him. The candidate asks people to vote for him. A person has to be at least 25 years old to contest for election to the legislative assembly. That is a basic qualification of a person. He should be completed 25 years. Next, one person can stand for election in the more than one constituencies at the same time. He can stand for election in more than one constituency at the same time. Next, even if a person that does not belong to any political parties, he is called independent candidate. The person does not belong to any political party is called independent candidate. Every political party has its own symbol. Next, independent candidate are also given election symbol by the Election Commission of Tamil Nadu. Okay, next, the members of Legislative Assembly MLAs, they are elected directly by the people. That is direct election. The MLAs are directly elected by the people. That is why they are called the representative of the people or people's representative. Another important point is who are 18 years of age can cast a vote in the legislative assembly election. That means the people can directly elect their own representative through their voting right. So that is called direct election. Through this system, the MLAs, members of the legislative assembly, are elected. Okay students. Next, the constitution. Okay, next, the constitution. According to the constitution, a legislative assembly cannot have more than 500 members and not less than 60 members. That is a level of the members in the legislative assembly. Some seats in the legislative assembly are reserved for scheduled caste and scheduled tribes. So some seats are reserved for SC and ST, scheduled caste and scheduled tribes. The governor can nominate one member from the Anglo-Indian community. The governor can nominate one member from the Anglo-Indian community. The members of the Legislative Assembly are elected for a term of 5 years. The Legislative Assembly members elected for a term of 5 years. So that is a term of the Legislative Assembly members. But the governor can dissolve the house before the expiry of its term and can call for fresh election. The governor, a person, only can dissolve the Legislative Assembly. Next, the meeting of the assembly are presided over by the speaker because he is the head of the Legislative Assembly. So the meeting of the assembly are presided over by the speaker, who is elected from among the members of the assembly. In his absence, in case of the speaker is absent, the deputy speaker conducts its meeting. The deputy speaker conduct his meeting. Okay. Next, the state council of ministers. The state's council of ministers. Okay. This is a very important system in the government, state government. This is a very important system in the state government. Council of ministers. It is also known as cabinet. It is also known as cabinet. Who is the leader of the cabinet? Who is the leader of the cabinet? That means the leader of the majority party in the election is chosen as chief minister. The leader of the majority party in the election is chosen as the chief minister. So he is the leader of the cabinet as well as council of ministers. Okay. Next, in Tamil Nadu there are 234 legislative constituencies. How many legislative constituencies in Tamil Nadu? 234 legislative constituencies. The party with more than 118 elected candidates, MLAs, are invited by the governor to form the government. The party with more than 118 elected candidates, MLAs, are invited by the governor to form the government. That is majority. Those who are proved the majority in the election, they are invited by the governor to form the government. Next, the chief minister choose his ministers from the MLAs of his party. The ministers for various departments headed by the chief minister. The ministers for various departments headed by the chief minister, that is cabinet. So who is the head of the cabinet? The chief minister is head of the cabinet. So what is the important duty of the chief minister? That is, he is supervise and coordinate with the various department ministers. Students, today the class is over. Remaining topic we will discuss in the next class. Okay, thank you students.